Marjorie Taylor Greene is publicly calling Donald Trump out for breaking campaign promises with his unilateral and likely illegal war against Iran. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about. This is relatively surprising. Marjorie Taylor Greene's public rhetoric against Trump and the Trump administration's unilateral, likely illegal military strikes on Iran. Now, whether she'll follow through with actual legislative action remains to be seen, but this is pretty bold of a MAGA cultist as high profile and loyal as MTG is. We're going to play some of these clips and unpack it together.
I tell you what, 6 months in, Steve, and here we are turning back on the campaign promises, and we bombed Iran on behalf of Israel. Yes, it was on behalf of Israel. We're entering a nuclear war, the World War III, because the entire world is going to erupt. And you want to know the people that are cheering it on right now? Their tune is going to drastically change the minute we start seeing flag draped coffins on the nightly news, on Fox News that brainwashes all the baby boomers, and on CNN that brainwashes all the Democrat baby boomers. And that is exactly how this is going to go down. And, you know, the AI portion, I want to address that, Steve, that's a bunch of crap. They should have never put that poison pill in the House version of the One Big Beautiful Bill in the first place. I am a 100% no vote if it is still there, because I get to vote again. I get to vote on it again when it comes back to the House. And I am not voting for a 10-year moratorium on state rights to make regulations and laws on AI. That is absurd. And the One Big Beautiful Bill is about taxes, energy, and border security. And that's exactly what it should be. So shame.
So, Marjorie Taylor Greene saying Donald Trump is walking back campaign promises with his war on Iran. And if the Big Beautiful Bill comes back with an AI provision in it, again, a moratorium on states, passing laws and regulations pertaining to AI, she'll vote against it. So calling Trump out for violating campaign promises and saying that she will vote against his signature piece of domestic legislation. Pretty bold of Marjorie Taylor Greene. As of yet, she has yet to actually put her money where her mouth is, but that mouth is starting to get seriously spicy and sassy when it comes to defying Trump. This is a shocking escalation by MTG. Here's another clip.
You want to know what I have that Mark Levin doesn't have? I have a voting card, Steve. I have a voting card because I have a district that believes in the greatness of America, that believes in America First policies, and desperately wants President Trump, his administration, and the Republican-controlled House and Senate to enact and support this. You want to know what I have that Mark Levin doesn't have? I have a voting card.
So she's referring to Mark Levin of Fox News, okay? And we'll get into that in just a second. Fox News is, well, at least the neocons on Fox News, a lot of them are criticizing, not Donald Trump, but Marjorie Taylor Greene and those who are opposing Trump's military strikes and military intervention against Iran. And Levin and Marjorie Taylor Greene have been going back and forth on social media. Again, we'll get to that in just a second. But she's trying to walk a fine line here. She's saying, listen, I'm really MAGA. I'm really America First because Trump said X, Y, and Z, and I support X, Y, and Z. What we're seeing now is A, B, C, and that's different. And we'll get to the cultishness angle because Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually trying to preempt the notion, the fact that MAGA is predominantly a cult and saying, no. I believe in the things that Donald Trump campaigned on, not necessarily every single thing that Trump says. Again, this is interesting. One last clip, and then we'll get into some other stuff.
You know, I didn't sleep better after neocons and warmongers talked this administration into entering a hot war that Israel started after Netanyahu barely won a vote, Steve, barely won a vote by 2 votes in order to stay in power the day before Israel attacked, an unprovoked attack, Iran. Now, I'm not making apologies for Iran. I have no investment in the terrorist regime of Iran. But the reality is no American slept better after America bombed Iran, because all of a sudden we now have threats on our homeland. We now have warnings from our State Department for Americans overseas. Qatar put out a warning to Americans to shelter in place Americans in Israel are terrified for their lives, as well as Israeli people are terrified for their lives because bombs have been falling in Israel. And and Americans all over the world are seriously questioning, is this going to be World War III? So no, I didn't sleep better, regardless of Mark Levin's silly name calling.
Again, Marjorie Taylor Greene clutching her pearls about name calling. The irony's thick. Again, this is a Dracula Wolfman situation. She's terrible. She's a right-wing conspiracy theorist. She's an anti-Semite. She's a moron. But it is interesting that she's taking, or at least suggesting, that she will stand on principle and oppose Trump's warmongering ways. Again, she has yet to put her money where her mouth is. She has not co-sponsored Congressman Thomas Massey's bipartisan war powers resolution, which would constrain the presidency, including Donald Trump, from taking such unilateral action. Again, she has hesitated to go that far, but this is interesting. Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project is also making fun of her. Well, Marge Slothfoot is learning that ETTD is eternal. What's he referring to? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been on the defensive, okay? Trying to say, hey, listen, I'm still MAGA. I'm still pro-Trump. You guys stop lashing out at me simply because I am indicating that I won't cultishly devote myself to literally any public utterance by him. So she says, I spent millions of my own money and traveled the entire country campaigning for Donald Trump and his MAGA agenda and his promises. And Trump's MAGA agenda included these key promises: no more foreign wars, no more regime change, world peace. And this is what the people voted for. Only 6 months in and we're back to foreign wars, regime change, and World War III. It feels like a complete bait and switch to please the neocons, warmongers, military-industrial complex contracts, and neocon TV personalities that MAGA hates and who were never Trumpers. After the bombs were dropped, we were told, quote, complete success, and Iran's nuclear capabilities were totally wiped out. And then it quickly turned into Iran's nuclear facilities, quote, partially damaged, and, quote, now it's, quote, we don't know where their enriched uranium is. Let me be very clear. My children are 22, 25, and 27. I will literally fight anyone for their future, and their entire generation's future must be free of America's last foreign wars that provoke terrorist attacks on our homeland, military drafts, and nuclear war. I am fighting for them to have a future where they can afford to buy a home, afford insurance, invest for retirement, enjoy life, retain their God-given freedoms, afford to raise a family under their Christian faith, not be in debt, safety and security, and not have their own taxpayer-funded government destroy it all. Contrary to brainwashed Democrat boomers think and protest about, Trump is not a king, MAGA is not a cult, and I can and do have my own opinion. Damn. How about that? Again, she's not put her money where her mouth is in terms of her vote. So people should be pushing her for that. If you're really principled, then you need to prove it. And when Trump continues to violate his promises and his commitments, you must call him out directly, not in an opaque way. It's his fault. He's an 80-year-old man. He's the president of the United States, most powerful man on earth. He is responsible for what happens. He's responsible for his own decisions, which means he's morally culpable. And if you won't recognize that, you're a moron and a cultist. So you should call him out directly, and you should vote accordingly if your principles are what you say they are. She's getting a little bit closer. MAGA Civil War, Fox News, Mark Levin nukes shameless nitwit Marjorie Taylor Greene from orbit. Fox News, Mark Levin nuked Marjorie Taylor Greene from orbit Monday over her opposition to Donald Trump's strikes on Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. On Sunday, Greene tweeted, I don't know anyone in America who was the victim of a crime or killed by Iran, but I know many who have been victims of crime committed by criminal illegal aliens or murdered by cartel and Chinese fentanyl drugs. And then she goes on to say, but, America hasn't dropped bunker buster bombs on the cartel's sophisticated drug tunnels, all these things. And she says, I can also support Trump and his great administration on many of the great things they're doing, while disagreeing on Israel. Levine fired back Monday morning. Marjorie Taylor Greene, shameless nitwit. How incredibly dumb is Marjorie Taylor Greene? She doesn't know anyone in America who's been a victim of crime or killed by Iran. You mean the thousands of Americans, especially military personnel, killed and maimed by the Iranian terrorist regime? So yeah, Mark Levin and Marjorie Taylor Greene publicly going at it, which again, I think this is good. A MAGA civil war is just definitionally great for America because they're less dangerous than a unified Republican Party. There you have it, folks. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump's most fervent cultist in Congress, seems to be slipping the leash, seems to be not only increasingly calling him out in an opaque way, but getting closer to doing so directly and perhaps even voting against his signature legislation. Again, pressure should be on her to do this. Don't let her have her cake and eat it too. If she's really principled and her principles are what she says they are, then she needs to condemn Trump's very specific actions, call out Trump specifically. It's not people around him. It's his fault, Donald Trump's fault, 100%, and then vote accordingly. Join the bipartisan war powers resolution proffered by your colleague, Thomas Massie, or, admit that you are actually a bit of a coward when it comes to Donald Trump. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.